Hey there, welcome to episode 3 of Arms Trade Tycoon Tanks. This is the World War II era update. It's 1937, and finally we get access to a Tier 3 tank, the Heavy Matilda. There might not be all components yet available, so it could be a bit of a monstrosity that I'm building, but I just want to have it ready, because constantly I'm seeing contracts which require heavy protection on the hull. I don't have that. Until now. So let's get the Heavy Matilda going. I am just going to use the stock part because it's already completed. It's going to save me some engineering time. When it comes to the power plant, moving this heavy tank is going to be interesting. It's currently looking about 11.5 tons. When we have engines, let's say the higher attribute stats probably better. 411. This one. You can drive up to 32 tons? Damn. That is nice. That is very nice. Of course, it doesn't all come down to attribute sum, because mobility comes in all sorts of flavors. Sometimes you want to have a faster tank on road, sometimes you want to have a faster cross-country tank, sometimes you want to have an object, or rather a tank that can traverse objects, such as trenches. It all comes down to exactly what a particular contract is going to need. It also comes down to how much you want to pay, because I can probably drive the tank with the Armstrong V8, which is substantially cheaper, but it might not get the same level of benefits. I'm going to try and make this thing pretty powerful, which will also make it expensive. So what I'm going to require then is a very wealthy customer. Somebody with money. Interestingly, I have no components here. Is that true? I got no tracks for the Centaur? No. Okay, fine. Let's make some. We got a 362 here. Yes, I want to add that. I can... Oh. Yeah, see, this is where we run into trouble. I can't quite put the weight on that. Maybe I can edit the thing in engineering. Make sure that the running gear is able to hold that much. Because at present, I won't be able to use this to field the tank. I'd have to go to 17.5, and still we're not there yet. So if I do this and go back to the design, it's not going to be good enough. Which means we'll probably have to go for the lighter engine. And even that's not going to save me, because this lighter engine isn't that much lighter. Yeah, this is the problem. I find that in this game, you kind of have to engineer everything, or sorry, you have to research everything at the same time. If you don't, you're running into issues such as the one that I am now. I'm already working on the cast iron turret. I'm also working on the mobility here, the twin inline, and I'm also getting the simplified machine gun. So what I actually need to do is research this, and then that, and finally I will have the reinforced running gear that I need. Not great. Not great, because it kind of locks you behind this research tree, and you're still not able to actually use and, well, to some end, abuse the tank that you've just unlocked. Which I don't like. I want to be able to field this thing. Maybe there's an option to change the hull and make the hull a little lighter. Let's look into that as another option. So, let's say the weight's 11,480. Maybe if I change the engineering a bit, I can make it somewhat lighter. But probably not by much. Doesn't even have a casted assembly yet, which does help with kinetic resistance and spall resistance. And as this thing is supposed to be something that can take a beating, I do want to have that. I got directional headlights as 26. It's not going to really make that much of a difference. This is going to add 2.5% for additional shell stowage, giving me 17 additional shells for firepower heart. 66. Might be too much. Like, I'm not shaving off a lot. If anything. There's no alloy types available? Right. I'm not filtering anything, so I guess once again we're locked behind not having the right tech. And I don't like it. Because it means that you just can't use it. You just can't use it. Why can I not use tier 2 alloys on this tank? Up until the point where we have something better, it doesn't really do much for me now, does it? I think this part about the game needs to change. For the time being, we'll just have to wait. As it turns out, running an arms company is a bit at the whims of the government who you're trying to serve. In this case, partly British. The British have said, hey, we want to get an airborne tank. I can't really throw Matilda out of an airborne unit, can I? That's going to have to get them down to the Tetrarch. You know, the Tetrarch that I don't have, because I'm currently working on getting the Midler tractor as a bit of a stopgap measure. No, if I want to get the Tetrarch, I'm first going to have to research A, the airborne hull, B, the firepower to go with it, and C, potentially some better running gear, like the lightened running gear that I was planning on researching. And then I thought, skip the light stuff. Nobody wants that anyway. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. The Brits are, however, the only customer that presently seem to want it. I am going to research it, because it could still open up an interesting line of merchandising. But it's not necessarily going to make me a lot of money, because look where everybody else is paying their tank core. They want stopgap mediums, that's the US. Canada wants to get the light expeditionary tank, or at least they used to. Now they want the medium expeditionary tank with protection and hard firepower. That's what I got the Midler tractor for. The French over here, they're just using the stopgap medium. That's the M3 Lee. We have the Belgians over here. The Belgians want the char de bataille, which I think is potentially going to be served again by my Midler tractor. The Germans, they're looking for the bunker smasher. The Russians, who I don't actually have a deal with, are looking for the polyvalent tank, aka the T-34. They're currently, serving T-28s into the army, I think? As for a bit more towards the Balkans, we have the guys over here. I don't even have... I do have a trade office with them. They are looking to get light support tanks and light cruisers, so maybe I can sell some stuff there. But nobody else is interested in the airborne stuff. So this is where your decision's really going to make a difference as to what you're researching and as to whether or not you'll be able to sell that thing to anybody. Because some of the nations do really want the light cruiser tanks. Some of them really don't care. And I'm not really sure how the British, as one of the few nations are, well, one of the only nations so far, are going to be looking into getting the airborne tanks. Maybe I can get some Tetrarchs built and sold. I don't know. What I do know is that I seem not to be able to break the 3.6 million barrier that much. Sometimes I'm up to 4.5, sometimes I just hit low 5s. But it's not getting a whole lot better than that. And that mostly has to do with not really being able to get those tanks such as the M3 Lee. Because lots of nations want that one. Not that many nations want the smaller stuff. We need to bait 251. Okay. So, I can ship more tanks. I can potentially ship them faster. There. It's going to allow me 2 months for 38 tanks. It's going to give me 1.7 million. It's not great. If I do this, they're going to say, hell no. If I am going to say, I just want to sell you 26 tanks, but I can ship them to you quickly. It's just 1.3. I'm going to have to go with the additional tanks. And just lower the price. Ah, well. Let's just say it's a measure to make sure that I can still get some money. Because the contracts were a bit far and few between. What I do find a bit boring is that I'm only selling this one. Only selling the Mark E. Everybody is just buying the Mark E. Nobody else is buying anything else. The Mark E Type A, I've already sold 277 of these tanks. So yeah, they're easy to produce. They're not that expensive. I doubt their longevity, but that's not really my problem. If people want to use them, go ahead. I do, however, need to get a few more resources for them, notably medium carbon steel. Let's do some shopping. 3, 6, 4, 5, 3. Africa is typically not terrible, but I do need it slightly faster, potentially. 20 days there. I'm going to put in 2 orders. I want to get... Oh, I'm almost dry for resources. Most. Okay. Fine, let's go with another route. I'm going to say I want to have enough resources for 60. I'm going to assign the order to 24 days, 20 days, 131, 137, 100k for Oceania, 95 for Africa. Fine, go Africa. Let's go with Africa. Get those resources over here and let's start producing. This right here is the type of contract I would really love to get into. But you need the M3 Lee in order to get there. Because the M3 Lee seems to be the only tank that people actually find interesting to buy. The Mittler tractor probably isn't really going to appease them. See, if you can ship 102 tanks and even raise prices a bit, you can make 6.7 million. My small contract of 1.7 kind of pales in comparison. And sadly, there isn't that much that I can do to change that. So, yeah, that's the type of contract I would love to see. It is not the type of contract that I can easily get. You can take steps to buy a unit such as this, but it's expensive. So, this was going to require a hefty investment to the tune of, well, 5.9 million, plus I think a month or two to get it designed, plus, I don't know, probably a lot of time to get them built, because look at the difference in production time. This is, I think, at tier 1, 4,000 man hours. This thing has 27 man hours per tank. That is really expensive. So if you want to get these things out in numbers, you're going to have to spend either a lot of time waiting, or you're going to have to pre-produce them even if you don't have any orders. If the M3 Lee is so popular, I guess that could be fairly safe. If it turns out that the contracts dry up, well, you've just taken about a 5 million plus risk that you might not quickly recoup. Let's get these tanks. Oh wow, by a whole day. Since everybody wants these tanks, I'll just produce another 25. And we'll have a bit of storage for these units. I just hope that they're not going to be obsolete anytime soon. Wow. We have a trophy. The T-34. Sorry, the Slava Vara 1. Yes, I'm going to buy that for 468k. I don't have anything nearly that powerful, near that tech. So, if I can get a T-34, hell yes. Let's see, am I filtering this? Yeah, for tier 2 and tier 3. Where is the T-34? Where? Oh crap, it's a trophy. I first need to reverse it. Reverse engineering. This is a pretty complex tank, I imagine. No, it's not as complex. This has more man hours. This Mittler tractor design. So we'll just have to tear apart the T-34 76 design. And that's going to take 43 days. How many more engineers I got? 57 idle. We'll get to work, people. We got things to do. And many, many things to learn about the T-34. I think this is going to be an excellent addition to the arsenal. It's not particularly well protected. If you're looking at the T-34's hull, you're looking at 45 thickness, 40 sides. Front ricochet is 80 though. This thing is nicely sloped. Maybe with this, I'm going to be able to compete with those stopgap tanks. I might need to make some adjustments to the T-34 though. I might need to tweak it and tune it to ensure that it's going to be up to standards. Now, I just got another contract for another 38 tanks. We got one contract terminating soon in 13 days, and the production for that's almost done. Let's get... No, I gotta wait. I gotta wait. There we go. That one's done. Now we can ship that out quickly and immediately start production on that next run. So they want 38 tanks for one contract, and we got not a whole lot of time left. We got 9 days. I cannot afford any mess-ups. So, yeah, this should work. This should work. They can handle 60 tanks, so that's fine. If, in the worst case, it comes to a delay, we're going to have 8 days total. So that is in line. Okay then, factory ground. No, I want to go to production. And we need to develop a bunch more of those units. What are we looking at now? 13 for 25. We are going to have 13 already stored. So we're going to be up to 25. That's that second contract, if you will. I'll need to produce a bunch more. Let's just get another 15 going. for which I have no resources. This again. I really don't think that those resource holdings are worth it. They might automatically generate some resource income, but given the amount of maintenance you're paying and the acquisition cost, I think it is not a great deal. So I'm not touching that. Instead, let's go for another 50 tanks. I think we can get it from Africa fairly cheaply. Yeah, 21 days. Do I have time? I got plenty of time. I got 82 days to complete that contract. Easy. Build the tanks, ship them out, no big deal. And once again, people are looking for the stopgap medium tank. Fine. I will see if the T-34 is going to be even remotely interesting for these people. At least in its current condition. We do have most parts for the tank. We're not quite there yet. Let me throw that turret off. So, based on what we have for the hull, they are looking for a tank that has a frontal thickness of 47. So we're almost there. 45 is what we have base. They want a front ricochet of 50. We got 80. That's a very nice bonus. They also want kinetic resistance of 78. Kinetic resistance of 78. Exactly on the mark. It's almost like they want the T-34. Excellent. Then, they want hard firepower with very high accuracy of 75. I'm going to require a turret that is potentially also somewhat heavily armored. Now, I did get access to the Close Support Mark 1. This is a Tier 3 turret. I also have access to the turret that comes with the T-34. I don't really know if this is going to do anything for the firepower. I don't think so. I think we're just going to have to go with the gun. And my guns, I'm not so sure if they're that accurate. 26. They want a higher rate of fire, but that more has so to do with the gunner. And the rate of fire has to do with the loader. So let's first get the rest of the components. If I'm able to get the Centaur tracks on this thing... No, I can't. I need the Leshy tracks that it comes with. As for the engine, we have the AEK that I think it came with, giving it right now a very good power to weight ratio. It's without tracks and without a secondary. The secondary is also something that they're pretty picky about. They wanted to have a decent range and some shock penetration. I think the second part is not that difficult. So let's throw in the Vickers. And then if we add the expendables, which I cannot do without the tracks, I'm able to get some pretty decent shock pen on that. This, I think, is going to be a winner. I will probably have to produce a couple of these ahead of schedule, ahead of when I actually need them. Otherwise, I won't have enough. Now, what type of tank is this? I'd say the stopgap medium. It's going to have shock penetration for firepower, soft, frontal thickness, front ricochet, that. And seeing as the requirements for the French are pretty much the same, I think it's fine. They do want an MG count, like more machine guns? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Regarding rate of fire, that's not strictly what they seek. I want to make it for this. I'm going to select that. This is pretty much what we are looking for and what we need to have. Vast requirements for additional tanks give way to specific needs. So that's what we're building. The T-34 V1. Because of course there's plenty that I can change about the hull, that I can change about the engine. I first want to get the base thing going, so I can at least get something. I find it a bit curious that I can engineer it. Yeah, I can't. Sorry, that I can assign it because I don't have tracks yet. We're still working on the tracks. Shouldn't take that much longer. Only a month and change. I think I can stay in business for a while longer. And the British keep complaining that they want light tanks, so I'm still working on that. I did get the Tetrarch frame, but we probably don't have everything else yet, such as the lightened running gear. Maybe I can run the Tetrarch off of something else, though. The good news is, I can now get the next tier for firepower. Well, the next tier, like the next layer. Early welding methods. 190 days. Okay, while that's happening, let's see if the Tetrarch is feasible in her current state. I kind of doubt it, but let's see what the game says. Where is the Tetrarch? It's going to be a tier 3. Sort by tier, please. Yes, there you are. The light Tetrarch. Do we even have any running gear for this? Yeah, that looks like it fits. Or not. What sort of turret can I put on there? That one? Yeah, right. Do we have any British contracts right now? Yes, the airborne tank. Okay. So let's say this is going to be the airborne tank. That'll make it a bit easier. This one. They want transportability. They want road speed. They want agility. They want a power unit that's reliable. And they want to have a kinetic pen, accuracy, and shells. The accuracy is where I think I suffer. I simply don't have a very accurate weapon. But that also comes with not being able to select the crew just yet. What are we going to throw in there? A tier 3. The Meadows H12. This still puts me below the weight, although I haven't added a machine gun yet. Let's get the best machine gun I can get, and now we can start to add crew. I want to have a 2-point driver. You're going to be a driver gunner. I wonder how that works. We're going to have a commander. And we need to have a loader, like a full-time loader and a full-time mechanic. You can be mechanic and you can be a loader. What's our rate of fire right now? Accuracy of 52. It's not quite there. It's not quite there. But we're at least moving in the right direction. They want accuracy... Oh, they want accuracy of 38? Oh, we're there. Kinetic pen, 42. What's the kinetic pen right now? 30. That is something I can change. Because I can simply add very high-end kinetic pen shells, such as the capped ones. And we're there. So that's one. I can also give them the increased charge shells for additional damage and shock pen. So that's going to up the shock pen by a lot. I can now add machine gun charge. Let's say I want to have the fast burn. Hold on, what do they need? Shock? No, they just care about machine gun. They don't care about machine gun at all. They just want mobility. Good mobility, ideally. The question is, what do they consider good? This thing has a road speed of 40. Cross-country speed, not as good. 22. Very nice when you're going on roads, but tanks rarely drive strictly there. We're going to probably have to fit that engine a bit different. Otherwise, it's going to maybe be the downside of this tank. Paint scheme. Oh, I don't know. That one. Okay, if I throw in a different engine, is that going to be feasible? Because this one has a pretty high attribute sum, 395. I can, however, change the aspect of what's in there. I can also try changing the turret to give it the T-34 turret. That doesn't necessarily give it more accuracy. Supposedly this turret is nigh indestructible. This turret has frontal thickness of 75. And what does this turret have? 50. It looks weird no matter how you slice it. The thing about the T-34 turret here is that it doesn't have a machine gun. And that's something I don't quite like. So, given that, I'm going to go back to that turret, add that 6-pounder, and then add the Vickers. And I think we're pretty much there. Get a loader. The expendables are set. Yes. Light Tetrarch V1. I am wondering how much mobility they need. How much mobility? They're looking for 53 agility. They're looking for 52 road speed. Holy shit. I don't have that. And they want 61 transportability. Is this thing transportable? Or not? Where does it... Oh, here. 41. It is not particularly transportable. That's probably to do with the mass of the vehicle. If I can make it more transportable, that might mean make it lighter. And that probably has to do with the fact that I'm using the wrong turret. Because this is a very heavy turret, but it's one of the few turrets that gives me that option to use both a pretty hefty gun and a machine gun. Alternatively, I can go back to this one. And that would give me the option to also go with... Oh, I can use this one, but the sum is pretty bad. 609. Like, we're falling back pretty far. That would be this one. I think this thing punches pretty hard with a 6-pounder gun. Transportability is still 41. It's still not good. And that agility and road speed, we're not really getting to where they need us to go. Let's save it as the V1 for later reference. Like, it's not exactly what you think of with the Tetrarch. But, well, if you don't look too closely, maybe we can get away with it. Track's all done. Tank's looking quite nice. I did research, or rather reverse engineer, the F-34-76. This is a massive upgrade in attribute sum. We got a 445 here, or a 513 there. I quite like it. Look at how firepower hard. 328, 374. You're still not going to get a whole lot of accuracy without a gunner, though. So let's work on that. I'm going to have the commander in the commander slot. We need, how many crew members? We need a driver which can serve as a gunner to some extent. And that's going to give me a 33 accuracy. If I then have a gunner... Nah, I need a mechanic. And I need a specific gunner. Accuracy is only 39. But then again, they didn't need 76, I think. What exactly do you need? Firepower, hard, primary, 75, crap. Rate of fire, 63 rounds a minute. Rate of fire, 18 rounds a minute. How are we going to make this gun more accurate? Because at this rate, we will not get this tank accepted. We will not get it accepted. And that's a problem. If I go back to this, we're going to get a slightly better rate of fire. But it's still... Well, the accuracy is moving in the right direction. It's trending in the right way. We also now need a loader. So let's get a gunner loader. And now our rate of fire is 45. I think this might be a slightly better fit for the T-34 for the contracts that I now have. Maybe this is going to get accepted. Expendables. We can use this to get slightly more punchy shells. Do they have a kinetic pen requirement? They typically do. Kinetic pen, they need 63. That's not what I have right now, but I'm not that far off. I'm 30. So if I just throw a hefty shell in there, that's going to give me 45. And then I can get... this doesn't move the needle that much. If I give him cap ballistics and then increased shells, now we're at the kinetic pen that we need. Now I got machine guns. Let's say 2 all-purpose incendiary. Actually, heavy steel core rounds. Let's go with that. Stabilized fuel, and finally standard oil automotive stuff. Seeing as how often these contracts pop up, this is just what I'm going to go with. It's not a phenomenal tank. It's just going to have to do. Some of these camos are slightly hideous, but okay. Save that, assign it, and they're going to be working on that for the next month. So I'll definitely not be participating in this contract, but maybe the next. And that one, hopefully, is going to make me some money. And just as I say that I'm not going to be able to participate in the contract, I get a breakthrough. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So now, well. They don't like the firepower hard. They're probably getting penalized for not having a very accurate gun. And not getting the right rate of fire, but it's a step in the right direction. We can tweak these. When it comes to expected revenues, I don't think I can create nearly this many tanks in this time span. They want it in 2 months. 68 tanks, or ideally 102 for 6 million. Jesus Christ, you're paying through the nose for this. That's 400,000 just to get insights. If I want to beat 250 or something, and you're going to get 30 tanks. I don't know, something like that. 37k, extend to make 1.2 million. I don't really like it. I don't really like it. Then again, I'm not really risking much. How long would it take for me to build 34 tanks? Because if I cannot do that in the allotted time, I'm going to have bigger issues. 34 tanks, let's say 17. It's going to take me 48 days. And that's with 500 people working on it. So if they are going to accept the contract, it's going to take me 1.5 months to produce these tanks. Which means it will fit in the deadline. If I extend the deadline a bit, and say you're going to get 34 tanks. No, hold on. If I extend the deadline, and say it's going to be 4 months, give or take. How many tanks can I reliably build in 4 months? 4 months equals 120 days. Say 100 days, so I can also ship them. That's not quite it. 25. 35. 35. I can build 70 tanks. On paper. On paper. So, seeing as there's not really that much of a charge, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say I'm going to build you 75 tanks. And we're going to offer up the T-34. They don't like this at all. But I can give you a pretty steep discount. Okay, that's not what they want. They want it now. Overnight shipping is not something we do here. If I do it in 3 months, I cannot offer them that many tanks. Let's take it slightly safer and say I can build you 50. It's going to give me $1.5 million. It's not a ton of money, but maybe we can make it work. Send it in. In the meanwhile, I want to test drive it. I want to see how this thing actually handles. Because if it handles like a pig, then they're probably not going to enjoy it. But then again, it's just it's just stats in this game. Well, well, well. It's like we're actually driving real tanks this time around. I like it. Gotta keep in mind that the machine gun is in the hull, not in the turret. So if I want to fire the machine gun, I'm gonna have to rotate the whole hull. Not ideal, but feasible. You just gotta keep in mind that as you're doing that, you're exposing potentially weaker sides of the hull to enemy fire. Which might be a problem. Also, I doubt that the thing is very stable. Well, there's 2 of them. There's 1 more. Stop. Got him. It's pretty decent, this T-34. I'd like it to have some more mobility, but then again, I like everything to have more mobility. So, it's not bad. It's not bad. If they accept this deal, I can at least start getting a bit of money with these tanks while I am still improving my research and potentially engineering some better parts for it. Maybe if I can get a better gun for it, the whole thing is going to come into its own and will be able to be sold a heck of a lot better. Very shortly after, the British arrive with a request for one of those airborne tanks. Let's see if they actually like the Tetrarch V1. Oh, they really like it. 779. That's very high. How much can I squeeze them? Quite a lot. And if I push this, I can make 5 million out of that contract. Here's the deal, though. I first need to know if the French are going to accept that contract. And that's going to take me 4 days. 1, 2, 3, 4. The French want the contract. Shit. I was hoping they'd refuse. Because now I'm forced to build all those T-34s. Okay, fine. We're building 50 T-34s. I don't think we can get them built very quickly. Maybe I can still upgrade the factory some more. Oh, I don't even have the resources to build enough. Start cranking them out. This is gonna take... Come on. What was it? 18? 51 days. I got 93 days. That's 18 tanks. They want 50. Okay, we'll just have to double down. We're going to get the resources quickly shipped in. That's going to be a pretty sizable order. Let's say I want to get 50 tanks. It's going to be 200k. It's going to have to come in fast, so it might be Europe. It's going to take 8 days. If I take North America, it's 20 days. Yeah, fine. We'll just end up paying through the nose. Let's also start hiring more workers. I need to have as many people working on those tanks as I can. Oh, and I should have split up that order. Maybe I still can. Maybe I still can. I'm going to say I want to have 9 on one line, 26 days, and 9 on another. There. Okay, and now we crank it out. Alright, next episode you'll see if or whether I was able to get these things built in time. I think it's going to be tight. Real tight. And unfortunately, I'm kind of stuck with this contract. I would have loved to take the Tetrarch, because the Tetrarch is something that fits with the British much, much, much better. And ideally, that's a tank that I'm going to be selling a lot of. For now though, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed all these creations of Tetrarchs, wannabe Matildas, and of course the T-34. I see you guys soon for the next video.